This story is called Lottie's Letter by Gordon Snell, illustrated by Peter Bailey. Lottie and Max heard a sad cry from the flower bed. Yow! Yow! Among the flowers, they saw a little dog. Lottie picked it up. It held out a paw. "Look," said Max, "there's a piece of glass in it." Lottie held the paw gently. She pulled the glass out and said, "People shouldn't leave litter like that around. It's cruel. Someone should do something to stop it," said Max. "We'll do something," said Lottie. "We'll write a letter and take it to the Queen of the World. People will listen if she tells them they're messing everything up." "She won't take any notice of a letter from us," said Max. "But she will if it's signed by the animals too," said Lottie. So they got a big piece of paper and Lottie wrote, "The world is precious, every bit. Please don't make a mess of it." She wrote her name and Max wrote his. Then they got the dog to put a paw in some sticky mud and stamp it on the paper. Now Lottie's letter had a paw mark. Then they saw a pigeon with its beak stuck together with a piece of chewing gum. They took the chewing gum out and the pigeon put its claw on the mud and its mark on the paper. Now Lottie's letter had a paw mark and a claw mark. Down came a seagull with its wings covered in oil spilt in the sea. Lottie said, "You see, it's not just litter. There's all kinds of muck messing up this world." She got the seagull to put its wing on the letter. So now Lottie's letter had a paw mark, a claw mark, and a wing mark. They heard a bee buzzing around. Lottie said, "If the flowers all die from fumes and pollution, bees won't be able to lick them and make honey." They got the bee to make a mark with its sting. Now Lottie's letter had a paw mark, a claw mark, a wing mark, and a sting mark. A frog hopped from the pond. It gulped fresh air, glad to be out of the slimy, dirty water. It put the mark of its long leg on the letter. Now Lottie's letter had a paw mark, a claw mark, a wing mark, a sting mark, and a leg mark. They saw a duck sitting by a pond. It stood up, and there, underneath it, was an egg. "If the food they eat gets polluted," said Lottie, "eggs that ducks and other creatures lay won't hatch out." The duck rolled its egg over the letter. Now Lottie's letter had a paw mark, a claw mark, a wing mark, a sting mark, a leg mark, and an egg mark. They walked by the river and saw a salmon. "Look," said Lottie, "the water's all mucky." The salmon jumped out and rolled over on the letter, leaving the pattern of its scales there. Now Lottie's letter had a paw mark, a claw mark, a wing mark, a sting mark, a leg mark, an egg mark, and a scale mark. They came to the seashore and saw a dolphin jumping in the sea. Lottie said, "If the sea gets poisoned by nuclear waste, the dolphins will die." The dolphin swam to the shore, dipped its tail in some sludgy sand, and slapped it down on the paper. Now Lottie's letter had a paw mark, a claw mark, a wing mark, a sting mark, a leg mark, an egg mark, a scale mark, and a tail mark. "Is the letter finished?" asked Max. "No," said Lottie. "We need lots more marks. When the other animals learn about our letter, they'll all want to sign it too." And they did. There were tooth marks from a lion, and hoof marks from a giraffe, and more paw marks from a bear, and claw marks from a parrot. and wing marks and sting marks and leg marks and egg marks and scale marks and tail marks and tooth marks and hoof marks. Now the letter is finished, said Lottie. Shall we post it? Said Max. No, said Lottie. We'll march with it. Lottie and Max marched in front, and behind them came all the creatures who had put their marks on Lottie's letter. The procession went on till it came to the chair in the air where the Queen of the World sat floating. She said, "Wise, wonderful, well done! I have never seen a letter with so many paw marks, claw marks, wing marks, sting marks, leg marks, egg marks, scale marks, tail marks, tooth marks, and hoof marks." "What will you do?" asked Lottie. "I shall fly around the world with the letter," said the Queen, "and tell everyone to stop making a muck and a muddle and a mess. Otherwise the world may come to an end, and what will become of us all then?" Lottie and Max gazed up as the Queen flew away to warn the people, calling out, "The world is precious every bit. Please don't make a mess of it." "I hope the people will listen," said Lottie, "and so do we all." The end.